How are you guys doing today? It has been a little bit since we last talked, the last updated, but it's definitely been a little less time since the last update. And the purpose of today's video is really just going to be going over some of my current investment strategy itself, as well as what I am invested in, covering both traditional investments as well as crypto. Off screen, I do have a laptop pulled up, which has both my information on it. Do I think I will share numbers exactly when it comes to this? No. I do think that percentages itself will be fine. I'll try and make and work with some graphics somewhere when it comes to doing all of this. But I think we'll start with what I'm invested in first, and then from there work our way into what I'm invested in crypto-wise, and then go into my investing strategies, because then it's not me explaining the strategy and my strategy doesn't match with what I'm investing in. So when it comes to traditional investments, currently my brokerage is through JP Morgan Chase, which is just self-funded and self-done through them. I'm not a private client. I don't have $250,000 with them or whatever it takes. I wish maybe one day, but the main areas that I'm invested into is tech or technology in general, motor transport, and motor companies. So depending on how you look at it, that could be considered tech. For the case of this, I'm going to consider that not tech. Alternative foods is going to be another big group, as well as a little bit of marijuana in there, because that is an emerging market. A big chunk of my portfolio is banks, as well as hospitality, which is including JP Morgan for banks, Airbnb when it comes to hospitality. When it came to tech, it was companies like Sony, Apple. I'm going to consider AT&T and Verizon to be technology when it comes to this. I know that you could claim that Uber technically is tech, but for the case of this, we're going to call that transport. And then we're also invested in the health sector, which is including Pfizer, Moderna, because the race for the vaccine. When they announced that they were originally going to be creating the vaccine, I decided to go ahead and invest in both of those companies in the hopes that they would win the race and that their stock would shoot up. Yeah, that was kind of sketchy. Then BioCardia, which is I believe it's pacemakers in California. Not really sure why or how I got invested in them, but it just happened. And then finally, I think the only one that I haven't really covered is office supplies and ergonomic furniture, which is Herman Miller. Just in case I didn't cover it originally, JP Morgan is the bank that I invest with. I'm also buying stock in them. Shouldn't be insider trading because I don't get information from them anyways. But year to date, we'll pull a little bit of positions here. Overall, I am breaking positive. Always a good one. The stock that I'm up the most in, percentage-wise, is going to be Pfizer, which I'm up 23% in. Followed by that is going to be JP Morgan Chase, which I'm above 20% positive in, as well as Herman Miller and Apple, as well as Sony, covering some of it, and Honda. But away from that, right now, everything's in the red for my overall gain and loss. So that is fantastic. I love that for myself. But the plus news is, pretty much everything for today was in the green, but just because it's in the green day to day, long term, doesn't mean I'm making a profit on most of these, which I acknowledge that. I should probably be investing in some index funds, probably S&P 500, but my traditional investments have been halted because I've been focusing a little more on crypto while it's still in, I would consider it the early adoption phase. Because if you've looked at a lot of news articles recently, there's been a lot more banks and larger companies actually accepting crypto and looking into investing into it. Not that they already have invested into it. So just because it was in the hands of general consumers doesn't mean that larger corporations that are going to have more of a pull on a product overall are invested on it. So I've been focusing on that in the hopes that getting the early investments, even though it's not really early and it's been relevant for a while, that their recognition of cryptocurrency being a legitimate financial asset is going to start to be realized, and because of that, people are going to put money into it. All right, so now I will be going on to CoinStats to look over what I am invested in for my cryptocurrencies. Just for a reference, I could cheat there, but we'll pull it up to my 1 month stats. For my 1 month stats, I am up 189%. Keep in mind that's not just that I've been holding, that's also that as I've been getting paid through my internship and my other job before I left my other job, that at least every week was $150 to $200 at least, minimum going into recurring buys for more cryptocurrency, which is spread out between 4 of the cryptocurrencies that I will be discussing today. Then there are or were 2 more in the portfolio, and I will cover those in a second. So the crypto that I'm holding the most in, coin amount wise, is going to be Cardano. I bought mostly into Cardano when it was around the $115 to $120 mark. Currently it's sitting at $273, so I am up a good portion. Obviously I could have sold off around when it was at $3. I didn't want to do that because they're still working on some of their changes. They're going to be introducing more smart contracts soon. And I think more companies are not only going to be relying solely on Ethereum/Ethereum 2 when more work is done and more push is happening with ETH 2. I think that Cardano has cemented itself now that it's starting to fulfill a few more of the promises that they initially set. And this is going to make more people investing into Cardano. So this is one that I'll be holding long term. Following that, on the other side of the trophy, is my investments into Ethereum. Amount wise, I hold I don't hold the most Ethereum when it comes to like total volume or coin wise, but price wise, if we're looking at it that way, that is going to be my second most held item, where that one I've just been buying in a good chunk every single week. I can't really say that there was a time that I was dumping a ton of money into Ethereum. Like one specific point, it was probably around the $1,800 to $2,200 mark. It's now at about $3,200. Following that, I have had Bitcoin for quite a while. That's one that I haven't bought into as much, which I will cover that strategy and reasoning pretty shortly. Not that there's any justice or injustice being done to Bitcoin. Then the last one that I have recurring buys set for and that I do believe in is going to be HNT, or Helium Network Token. This one is used by a lot of companies for the Internet of Things and communication between devices like that. So when you look at companies like, I believe it's Bird and Lime, or something like the little electric motorized scooters that are like all around some major cities, if you do have helium miners set off, it allows them to piggyback off of your network to allow communication over that. And in exchange for piggybacking off your network, they can reward you with tokens. So you can buy miners and stuff for that. Which I do have a miner and coming on the way, and that's what I hold the third most volume wise. So it goes Cardano, Ethereum, Helium, network tokens, Bitcoin, which Bitcoin's good. I only do a recurring buy every 2 weeks, just because it is more expensive. Then also in the portfolio is USDC, or USD coin, as well as I had Dogecoin, sold out of that as a joke. But USDC coin wasn't one that I would ever really buy long term or hold. When I was looking at buying my crypto miners, the place that I ended up ordering through required payment to be done in USDC. Does that mean it could have been a scam? Sure. Maybe, who knows? It's a really long lead time when it comes to that one. So whether or not the crypto miner actually comes in, we can discuss that when it actually arrives. But who knows if or when that'll ever happen. Probably not. So now we can go into some of my investing strategies. When it comes into crypto, it's going for early adoption and really how I feel like investing more of it. I'm very hesitant when it comes to altcoins and shitcoins, just because a lot of them have been scams. You can look at what's happened to FaZe Clan and a few other famous celebrities and people just creating pump and dump schemes when it comes to crypto. But I do believe there is some good long-term value in Cardano, as they are releasing smart contracts. They're fulfilling promises that they've announced. Same thing with Ethereum, as well as them doing the complete overhaul to Ethereum 2, as well as the ability to stake Ethereum, I think is a really good asset. So just having the ability to, I am in the waitlist to stake for Ethereum 2, which I don't really care if I can't sell out of Ethereum, and I'm just getting interest on it. I'm not looking at selling it anytime soon. Helium Network token, I do think that them using the Internet of Things as a reason that you could mine with it is a fantastic way to go about things, and I will be looking to take advantage of that as much as I can, especially hoping that my crypto miner comes in. That was a pretty large financial purchase at $500. Could have bought multiple TVs for that, but it's whatever. And then why don't invest into Bitcoin as much, but I do put a lot more money into Ethereum. In the crypto space, there is something speculated called the flippening to be happening, which is where the overall market cap and market share between Bitcoin being number 1 and Ethereum being number 2 is going to swap at some point, meaning I believe total market cap wise that Ethereum would be worth more than Bitcoin. Not that the necessary amount of one Ethereum is going to be worth more than one Bitcoin, because, yeah, as well as Bitcoin being still mineable, it's not really something I'm interested in, and I think that the mining for Bitcoin has become both extremely competitive, as well as it's causing a lot of issues environmentally, and it's making cryptocurrency look bad sometimes. Granted, there are a lot of things making cryptocurrency look bad. But Ethereum switching to proof of stake for ETH2, as well as allowing smart contracts and staking, I think that this is going to open up a lot more opportunities, and Ethereum is going to be seeing a lot of growth in the coming months. So we can only hope for that. Then, when it comes to my traditional investments with Chase and stuff like that, it's really just boiled down to what are companies that I trust in the long run, and what are some of the industries that I see changing a lot with time. When it comes to food industries, I've gone a lot in like alternate foods, especially alternative and plant-based, like plant-based meats and plant-based like milks, because I do see there being a really big industry growth there, especially since I was able to get on some of the initial offerings when it came to companies like Oatly and Beyond. So we can only hope for the best when it comes to that. When it came to my investing in JP Morgan, really like them as a bank. I think that they work well. They offer a lot. They have a good card selection. I will probably try to invest in Amex as well soon, just because they are one of my favorite credit cards right now. They're fantastic for gas. They're fantastic for groceries, as well as it's a good looking card. Probably try and put an image on the screen somewhere. Then for tech, it was items that I've used for a while and companies that I trust that make quality products, because that will pay off in the long run. And pretty much it's just been things that I like and things that I trust going long term. It's not that I'm investing in them to invest in them and make a profit from it, but I'm going Warren Buffett strategy to where if you like a company and you could use a company, invest in it. I don't think that's right, but his is if you understand a company, then you can invest in it. Or if you can explain a company and what their purpose is, then you can invest in it. But he invested heavily in stuff like Coca-Cola. He owns Dairy Queens. He goes to McDonald's often. I think he was investing in McDonald's potentially. That might be wrong. But a lot of his investments are based off of what are things that are good, what good being subjective, maybe not health-wise with Coca-Cola, Dairy Queen, and McDonald's, but what are things that he sees being successful, and what are things that aren't going to lose consumer appeal and be fads. Because it's a lot worse to time the market than it is to just constantly buy and not try and time the market. If you time the market, potentially you could make more money in the short run, but there's going to be a lot of events that you can't predict, and you're just going to lose out on a substantial amount of money. Especially too, I think that while I'm young, I can leverage a lot more risk in my portfolio and just have a lot more risk in my portfolio overall. And then as I get older and savings and stuff start to matter a lot more, as well as financial stability, that I will start to have some of my investments go from more risky investments to a little more stable investments. Whether it's blue chip, whether it's ETFs, whether it's index funds, and stuff like that. I think that there is a time and place for that, but right now my portfolio can maintain a lot more risk, and it's not like I need to worry about retirement or buying a house in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. That's a long ways down the line, and that's not an excuse for why you shouldn't save, why you shouldn't invest in anything, because it's when you'd actually get the major payoffs of it so far down the line. But since investments a lot of times are compounding and money that you can earn is going to be compounding, it's better to invest here and there now, get a good solid base to build off of now going into the future. But with that being said, this is going to be a challenge to edit because I am not good at editing, and it's going to be a decently long video. I might try and cut out a decent bit of it. But with that being said, talk to you guys later. It's been a pleasure. Sorry for rambling. I hope to get better at explaining financial concepts and my ideas behind finance a little bit in the future. But talk to you guys